from where you at. I came here for vengeance, watch your back. No need to defend, I'm on attack. Sorry they can't reply, but I guarantee they had a blast. Pop, 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 I be on the next only, yeah, I am fresh to death.
Welcome back to the Long Haul Mentality. I am your host as always, and this week I have Niall Darwen on. How are you, man?
Doing good, man. Thanks for having me on.
Good. I can tell I'm rusty because I just about forgot the thing that I say every single week.
Yeah.
I say the same intro every week, and I was like, wait, what do I say? It's early for me, so I still got to shake the cobwebs.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
only on cup number 2 of coffee.
Nice. I think this is the earliest one I've done for any podcast lately. So yeah.
Well, I appreciate you making the time today, man. I know you said today's a rest day. Do you have like a set schedule with your training?
Yeah, it's I mean, everything's getting busier and busier every few months, but this is like Wednesday is probably the day where I have the most downtime sort of thing. So yeah, it's training and everything, like set schedule, meals are pretty much same time every single day, even on days like today. Hydration and all that, steps and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I know a lot of guys will do like a rotation of like 2 days on, 1 day off. So like, is your workout schedule just set?
Yeah. So mine's 2 days on, rest day, and then 3 days on, rest day.
Okay. Yeah. So you just have a regular 7-day split. Dude, I tried to do the 2 days on, 1 day off, and I always felt like I would fucking forget what day I was on. And like, rotating it, I was like, wait, what am I supposed to train today?
Yeah, man. No, I'm so set in this routine now. I actually forgot to check because Carl sent me my split, and then I didn't realize I was supposed to update the volume. I was just looking at it the other day, and it was like week 3+, and I was like, oh, I've just been opening it and doing it. But yeah, we just get so set in our routines, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I did that many times when I was prepping. Like Tuttle would send me something I completely forget, just being on routine. Like, shit, I forgot to change that. But what does volume look like for you? I know there's a lot of talk these days about like high and low volume, but what does your volume look like?
It's pretty. I think it's like across the entire week. I want to say it's 66 sets, like the entire, obviously entire physique. So this is like full peak volume now. So it's 66 sets. It's the highest it'll go. It's been relatively low. Everything has been either 1 or 2 sets. So most stuff's 2 sets. A couple of things have been 1 sets, like hinges, rows, quads. Because at this point, we're just not really trying to do too much. Yeah, with the quads. But now it's like a couple of things have moved up, like arms, a little bit more in delts, lats there in general, like 3 sets now. Everything else is staying at 2. But I find since I've done a lower volume, I've just been in so much of a better place training wise. Like I never really run myself into the ground anymore, like from training. It's usually from like something like, food going up or body weight or just, being in like a prep, like needing a rest from that.
Yep. It was always food for me. It was always a thing where like food would just get to a spot where it would just bog me down so bad.
Yeah,
like I never had like an amazing appetite. So, forgive me if I'm wrong. 2023 was your first Olympia?
2024.
2024.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're how old?
I'm 27 now.
Okay. And I know we've talked about this before, but it's been a while since you've been on Classic Physique Radio. So forgive me if my brain is foggy here on this. But man, I was just thinking about that before we went into this. I was looking at some stuff with you and listening to some other podcasts with you and stuff. And I'm not sure if have you spoken to my client, Blake Young?
Yeah. I've known Blake for quite a while, man.
So he's the reason I knew who you were.
Yeah.
And I think he was following you either before you turned pro or maybe like right after you turned pro.
Mm-hmm.
When did you turn pro? What year? 23?
So I turned pro 22. Like 2023, I just didn't compete that year.
Okay.
So 22, got my pro card at the British finals, which I guess is like our equivalent of like nationals.
Right.
And then the IFBB pro who wins the British finals gets to do the Arnold UK like as a pro debut. So I just went. I got the invite. So it's actually still up there on the wall, the invite. So I went and did that like 5 weeks later. And that
That's
went
awesome.
atrociously for me. And then,
But still cool to do.
Signed up with Cal, like, I think maybe 4 or 5 days later. And then,
Okay.
yeah, we just went from there and took all 23 off. And then obviously 24, like, that was like a real pro debut. And yeah, from there,
Yeah,
man.
it must have been either late 23 or early 24 when Blake started showing me your stuff. And crazy. 2022, you turn pro, and 2025, you're top 5.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it's fast. I'm not used to it either. Like,
it's got to be really weird. And I heard Suki ask you, like, what does it feel to be like in that position? And like, I feel like that's even a difficult question to answer.
yeah,
Like,
it's, I don't know, because it's like, especially for me, like, I don't feel any different of a person. Like, I don't walk around like in the gym or at certain events like, oh, people should treat me a certain way or anything. It's just like, I've been doing what I'm doing, and then I just keep getting these Olympia medals on the wall and shit like that. Like, it's crazy.
you just say that in such a kind. I just have these Olympia trophies.
Yeah.
The trophy that's behind me is a second place. It didn't go that way for me, Niall. Like,
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean, bro. It's like I don't feel like I feel like I've grown as an athlete, but like as a person, I don't feel like it's changed me. It's like, I was just doing what I was doing to the best of my ability. And like I said, I've got like amateur medals there, and then it's turned into like pro show medals and then Olympia medals, and like, it's crazy. It's just yeah, I don't know. For me, there's no sort of feel to it. The only thing that's happened is I've got more like this Olympia was the first time where I felt like at home on stage, because I think that was like my 10th or 11th time like on a bodybuilding stage ever. So every show I've done, it still kind of feels a bit new to me,
it's such a wild thing. Like, if we look at any other sport and we look at somebody who's considered to be one of the best athletes in their
Yeah,
sport, by the time they are one of the best, they have rep after rep
yeah,
after
yeah.
rep under our belt.
It's just like second nature, every single part of it, right?
Right, but guys like you, guys like fucking Jordan Hutchinson, like, there's all these
Yeah,
guys who is like, "Oh, I've done 5 shows and I made it to the Olympia." I like you're still in a lot of aspects an amateur.
yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
That's what I mean.
Like,
Yeah.
by the time you got into 11 shows, I wouldn't say that that's the case anymore, but like, how many shows did you do by the time you turned pro?
So by the time I turned pro, I'd done 2 men's physique competitions in 2018. They were like with a random federation. And then I did 1 NPC show in 2020. I was still natural. Like, so I did this 1 show, won the overall there. And then obviously COVID happened. So
Oh, yeah.
took some time off. And then 2022, I did the regional. And then, yeah, I did the pro qualified 2 weeks later. So
So, yeah.
the 5th show I did was where I turned pro.
Yeah, 5 shows is
Yeah.
crazy.
And then, yeah, Arnold, Toronto, and Olympia. Those are my next 3 shows. So
That's just so wild, man. Like, it's hard to even like grasp that, but yeah, it is funny to think about, because it's like the only time you ever really get to practice our sport is when you're competing.
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
you can go to the posing room, sure, but it's not the same. Like,
Yeah, like I'm sure you're the same. Like whenever I talk to clients, I'm like, listen, it doesn't matter like how much you practice in the posing room, at home or whatever. Like even if it's in front of your friends in a posing room, like when you're on, it's just a very different experience on stage. Like the music blasting, the MC on the mic, like the judges' faces, man, because the judges just have like a straight face the whole time. Like you're probably used to people hyping you up when you're in the posing room, like, oh, bro, look, they just look at you like they've seen it all before, right? So it can be quite
yeah.
intimidating.
Going to take a quick break from the podcast to bring a few things to your attention. First off, as I was going through the YouTube analytics, I noticed that almost 70% of my watchers are not subscribed. So if you're watching this right now, please do me a favor and click that subscribe button. Every single time I get a new subscriber, comments, likes, and shares, this helps spread the podcast more, and I really, really appreciate you guys. This podcast has no paid sponsorships, so the best way for you to support my channel is to support my sponsors. So, Labrada Pro Series is my supplement sponsor. We have a full line of products with some new ones coming. The pre-workout is on the way right now, and the new Labrada Nutrition RTD pre-workout is about to hit the market as well. On top of Labrada Pro Series, I also have Gasp and Better Bodies, and then I also have Authentic Aminos. Please go support these companies. Use my code Bagley10 for Labrada Pro Series, Bagley15 for Gasp and Better Bodies, and Bagley for Authentic Aminos. Thanks, guys. Let's get back to the podcast. Yeah, it's definitely interesting. Okay, so you've done 2 Olympias and you're in the top 5. Now we're looking at 2026 being around the corner, and you've already said it. Was it with Suki that you said it?
Yeah.
Okay. So 3 Olympias in, and you think you can take the Olympia?
I think if I'm 100%, yeah. The only thing is, and I like to be. Obviously, I'm a little bit delusional, right? I'm an Olympia competitor. We've all got to be, but at the same time, I like to sort of keep myself grounded. And for me, it's like, so when Suki asked me the question, the way he framed it was, if you're at 100%. And for me, I think like 100%, and like a good example of that is like, like 2011 Phil Heath. Like, there's not anything that you look at there and think you want to change it, or maybe like Chris in like 2020, where he just came back so on point. So I think if I bring like a similar version of that kind of caliber of physique, where you don't look at anything and have any want to add to it, then yeah, 100% think that wins me the Olympia. The only thing is the timing. Like, for example, I've only had I will have only had an 8-week off season by the time our prep starts. So it's a case of will that have been enough time? I've made sure that every day, I've executed to the highest of my ability, and every time a show ends, I kind of sit back and say like, right, you've got to find something to go even harder at now, or just, some kind of, you've got to raise the bar again. And I'm aware now that it's like, pretty much every time I get on stage, there's going to be like a massive target on my back, because there's going to be other guys who will want to prove themselves. Everyone else would, want a top 5 spot. There's only a few people in front of me. Everyone else is behind me. So I carry that with me in terms of everything. If I feel exhausted going into a training session, if I'm like, it's quite late at night and I realize I haven't hit all my steps, or if I'm just like, damn, like I don't want to get this meal down, I'm like, right, the entire pro league basically is after what you have. Like, there's no time to sort of sit back and rest about it.
Yeah. It's such an interesting dynamic, because to be the champion, 100,000% requires exactly what you just said, right? But at the same time, you also have to take that time to pull back. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of guys in your position, that is much more the struggle than it is to be locked in. You know, and like that. I've had that thought a number of times here recently, where it's like that grind mentality is so necessary, because you have to be willing to go to levels that other people haven't achieved. And this is actually what me and your coach talked about on the last podcast that I did with a guest. And it's like, you got to go to the ends of the earth to know what that means. And then you have to understand how to reel that in, and I'm sure that when you say things like that, you are saying it within the parameters of, I'm not going to be stupid, but I'm going to make sure that the boxes that I'm checking are being checked appropriately, and those boxes that are being sent to you are Cal, right? And he's the one that's kind of putting those parameters on you. Is that kind of how you're looking at that?
I mean, for example, that's why we didn't do the Arnold this year. Like, it was too early.
Right.
I was like just fully drained by the time the 2025 season was over. It had been a long prep again, because we went all the way to Tampa and then just carried on from there. We just like straight back into prep till the Olympia. Obviously, the like sort of shift in terms of career from the success and just what, like, everything that comes with that, more obligations and expectations from sponsors, and more events and stuff. And then by the time we were like sort of those few like 2-3 weeks post prep, when you just kind of giving your body a bit of a break, I want to say, I was like, damn, like I definitely couldn't do like a 4-week off season and get back in prep. Like, even mentally, I was not. I just needed a little bit of time, just to like actually pause and like taking some of where I'm at with my life as well, like with my family and friends and stuff.
Did you get to do that for the holidays?
Yeah, 100%, man. I definitely enjoyed it as well.
Yeah, and I think it's super important. I think that people hearing more athletes of your caliber say that is a good thing, because
it's actually the same thing we talked about with Jay back on the podcast.
Yep.
Yeah, man. So that's that same thing again, that same application.
It's so interesting. It's like as a coach myself, 90% of the time I'm trying to get people to do more, right? But there's those people like yourself who it's like, hey man, time to do a little less. Like we've those are the people who end up doing the most if they will let themselves calm down. But before we go too far into you growing and whatnot, I want to go back to that conversation about winning the Olympia. So I was at the Olympia this year and got to watch prejudging with Classic. Not a great position. Like I wasn't standing in the best spot. Me and Jay were like at the back, and we were at a weird angle and stuff. So like, take my opinion for what it is. They obviously made it very clear who was top 3, right? Like they made that very clear. And to Marley, please stop. Thank you. My dog's over here licking himself. To me, to be honest, Ramon wasn't the one who's grabbing my eye, right? He wasn't really the one that I was going to, but I had a bias towards Ruff. But I've had that bias since before I knew Ruff, right? Like Ruff, I had Ruff beating Chris when he got second. So and that was well before I ever knew him. So he's always the person I've gone to. But then after that, like, your frame and structure is one that like stands out. And I think it's just because, like, maybe not just because, it's your proportions and your structure and that look. I think it's one of the closest we've seen to like a better version of what Chris was.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, some people might be like raising their eyebrow hearing that, but it's not the first time that I've heard that. And pretty much everyone that I've heard that from has been at a show I've been at and watched me compete in the last couple of years, like whether it was the 24 Olympia, whether it was Tampa, whether it's the 25 Olympia. And obviously, for me, it's like, that's Chris is the man. So, that's a very awesome thing for me to hear. And obviously, if I can emulate anything similar, that would be
for anyone who does think that that's a wild statement, like, let me just explain myself, right? Like, I've never been around Chris. Chris is tall. I know Chris is tall. Is he taller than you?
I think he's a little bit taller than me. Yeah,
he's a little bit taller than you. And you are how tall? 6'2"?
So I was 6 foot. This year I was actually in the 5'11" class. So I was like 2 millimeters under at the weight. But yeah, in general, like 6 foot.
Look, I'm a tall guy. I'm used to like being taller than people. You're taller than me. I got to look up a little bit. You know what I mean? So like, and Chris, how do I want to put this before Chris's fans all come after me? I think Chris was in such a prime position to win as many as he did because he got so fucking big. Yeah. Because he was tall. Because he was tall and had the ability to fill out that weight cap, he got to a spot where it's like there were people who were more aesthetic than him. There were people who were more shredded than him. But because he was just big as shit, he just dominated people. You know what I mean? And you might not be as tall as he is, but your structure is very big to me. It just and I think that's probably because of like how small your waist is. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, I think looking back, especially at the finals from last year, being the tallest one, like that, and again, with my shape, some of the poses I was hitting. Obviously, by then, I've had way more food than normal because it's my first time doing like a finals. I just kind of saw that similar potential as well. Like it was a very different look to anything I ever had. I mean, like I said, I was 244 at the finals. I don't know what everyone else was weighing, but I know it wasn't 244 pounds. Like, for a classic guy to be like not that far off 250 pounds, and we'd also had to drop, like 3 or 4 pounds for the weigh-in a couple of days earlier. So it's like if we did, what maybe would have happened if we didn't have that last minute sort of trajectory shift.
Yeah. It is such an interesting thing because, like, obviously there's a lot of conversation around the weight caps and whatnot, and people are like, "Oh, what would happen if we just remove the weight caps?" Well, that's called open bodybuilding.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
there is a certain aspect to, like, if you are going to be a classic athlete, not trying to drop a million fucking pounds the last minute is obviously
No.
going
Yeah.
to be the best way to bring in your physique. Like,
100%, 100%.
I think, like, but there was a shitload of talk around people's weights and heights and all that stuff this year, and what was there, 10 guys that missed
It was like
weight
18,
cap?
man. It was like
Yeah,
18.
there
It
was
was
a
a
shitload of guys that missed weight cap.
Yeah, because I was in the sauna and like it was just full of pros, and more pros were coming
Right.
in.
Right.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was gonna make a statement, but I can't back that up anymore because Mike is contrary to that opinion. But Mike was one of the guys that, well, he didn't miss weight cap, but he had to suck it down, right? All the guys who missed weight cap, like, their look was not their best ever, right? Like, it's just not going to bring the best physique that you possibly could. So I guess my next question for that, to transition that, is, since you were so close to the weight cap and you have some places that need to grow in order to beat those four guys that are ahead of you. Was it you were fourth or fifth? I'm sorry. Fifth. That's right. Okay. I didn't think I was crazy. So you have four guys ahead of you. You obviously, you and Cal have analyzed who's ahead of you and what their strengths are. How do you guys plan to bring that up and still make that weight cap?
Well, I mean, obviously we had our original weight cap, which we were already under. So that was the weight that I was at for Tampa. And when I did the Brazil show after the 24 Olympias, my weight cap for those two shows. So I was already under that for the Olympia, like in clothes. So we were good to go. And obviously, what happened. And it only took us, I think, like 30 minutes to maybe a little bit over to drop that weight. And it wasn't too stressful for me. Like, I saw some of the other guys like really panicking. They had to lose like 8 pounds. Some people had to lose like more than that. I think for us, I mean, with Cal, if we're aware of something like right out the gate, then we'll 100% be able to plan for it. And for me, I think if we were able to actually get that weight cap at the last minute, I think if we control all of our variables, like, diet, activity, training volume, and we have the whole year to be aware of it, then yeah, I think that we can come back with like even more polished physique, because really the improvements that they want, they are minimal at this point. They're not coming and saying, oh, you would need, or they're not giving us feedback where Cal's like, you would need 12, 20, 20 plus week off season. Like, the plan for us was always to have like the shortest off season of my career so far. I'm still actually not as heavy as I was for my off season before Tampa either, but I know it's a better look, because at lighter weights, like when I was 257, I was looking at 257 from the last off season, and it's like, my glutes and my hamstrings are like still like really really striated, and like that wasn't the case last year.
That's wild. That's cool. And it's a testament to you and Cal having worked together for so long, right? Because, like, him handling you post show is what ends up putting you in a position like this, right? And like, I'm curious on your thoughts about it, but I'm not really like a post show rebound guy. Like, obviously, context is always a thing. Like, if somebody didn't have to prep that long to get in shape, okay, maybe there's something there. But like, if it's been a long drawn out off season, like, the last thing I'm going to do is continue to give somebody drugs during that period. And I don't really think that, like, the body wants to put on muscle during that time. Like, you have no body fat stores. That's what it's going to prioritize. Like, the 2 weeks where you just explode doesn't mean that you're putting on muscle. So, like, how did you guys handle all of these rebounds out of the shows?
So the way in general that we do them, I think the main thing for us is just recovery. Like I said, I put myself into a hole, like, by the time prep's over, just from doing everything. So the main thing for me is, like, once we get past those few weeks, just being like mentally and physically restored, because that's the main thing. So I've said to him, like, and as I've got older, I've got a little bit better. But I remember, I think it was like after Toronto or after the 24 Olympia, I was like, please send me a diet over, bro, because I will be checking in at 270 pounds. Otherwise, like, it's just, but yeah, so we pretty much, he's a little bit more lax, and it's more nowadays. It's more of like we'll follow this diet, we'll have this many off plans, but then like the overarching thing will be like we don't want body weight to go past this number.
Yeah.
And obviously that number will shift as we, because naturally the weight is going to go up over time.
Yeah.
But just controlling that, and then controlling it in terms of like PDs are removed pretty much. There's we don't keep anything in like that. Activities better, and like I said, overall I'm having like leaner off seasons as well, leaner cruises. So it's just for me it's become a lot easier. Like this post show was easy. I want to say in comparison to other ones, especially holding body weight. I think because we'd already pushed up to like 244, like 7 I got on stage. So really getting to like 250, I think we gained about 6 pounds. We just kind of chilled around there for quite a while.
Mm-hmm. So looking back at the 2025 season, what was your favorite look? What do you think you liked the most?
I think that Olympia's finals look, man, like 100%. The prejudging for the Olympia, I think, left a little bit to be desired. I still really liked it. And I mean, I've seen so many. I mean, sometimes I'll see like a really high quality video and I won't like it. Then I'll see someone's iPhone picture that's that's on the front row, and I'll be like, holy shit, man! Like, it's
that's the old the 90s were better trick is like they're all taken with the camera that is already grainy itself. No shit, they look grainy.
Yeah. So it's like I definitely like the prejudging look a lot. It's just that, like I said, man, I'd had more food, sort of like came back from prejudging, slept, like really calmed down. And then obviously more water as well. And like the fullness and the conditioning, I feel was pretty much like as perfect as it could be for that day. I also did like a crazy pump up. So I've always been very, very sort of reserved with my pump ups until the Olympia finals. And it was actually Justin Badarina that was like, he was like, bro, it's your first ever finals. Like, you've just got to get fucking huge. He's like, just go. So I did. Like, I went absolutely crazy with a pump up. And I was like, when I looked back at the pictures and everything and the amount of people that came up to me afterwards, they're like, bro, what did you do? I was like, okay, we might need to start utilizing this more. I think it gave me a little bit of that, like, sort of 90s like stage presence, the conditioning with like the crazy fullness.
It's such an interesting thing, the backstage world, because like first off, at your level at the Olympia, like sometimes you don't know when the fuck you're going on.
No, yeah.
Right? And if you start that pump up process too early, it's going to be a problem. Or if you over pump, it's going to be a problem. We've all been in the gym and had a session where like halfway through the workout, you've got the fucking craziest pump ever, and then you do one exercise and it's just gone.
Yeah.
We've all had that. So it's like the reality is like you can blow your load by pumping up too much, and especially if you're back there really anxious, right? Like if you're back there kind of freaking out a little bit, like you're worried about what's going to come, and then you pump a whole bunch, and that's how you're getting your anxiety out. Like, bro, you're going to lose it on stage. But that is cool to hear, because I think Terrence even said he doesn't pump up at all.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I mean, at that level, you'll see guys doing all different kind of things, and they'll all look crazy as well. Like everyone will look crazy.
Yep. Yeah, that's definitely cool. But all right, so you made the statement with Suki of like, if everybody is 100%, you think you can take, or if you're 100%, you can take the Olympia. That obviously means that you and Cal kind of like analyzed everybody.
Yeah.
What things do you think that you have that will beat those guys ahead of you, and what things do you need to improve in order to beat those 4 guys ahead of you?
I mean, I think obviously for a start off, like midsection, like the waist, like the taper, with like the quads and lats and delts, like the whole like X frame, I guess. I think that's pretty much unmatched right now, from those guys. I think my like classic look, you know what I mean? And obviously you'll know what I mean when I say that. Some people, you won't necessarily see that like judged so much maybe at smaller shows. Maybe they'll just, pick a guy who is just got the conditioning, the size, and has fit the weight cap. But at the Olympia, I mean, you can look at all the top 5 and we all have like completely different physiques really. but every one of us, you know, you can see like that classic look that I'm talking about. Like you can see it with Mike straight away. Like you look at a picture of Mike in a front double, and you know exactly the same. You know, same with Terrence, and like a side tricep. Ramon, obviously, with his huge fucking arms. Like, so I think that for me is a massive strong point. I think also the level of improvements, like I'm sure you've probably seen some of the side to side pictures of me, like, you know, 24 versus 25, like the rate of improvement, I think for me is quicker than the other guys in the top five. I don't mean that in sort of an offensive way. I just mean, you know, from how different I looked at the 2025 Olympia versus the 2024 Olympia compared to those guys, bar Terrence, because he wasn't there. And then I think really all we need to do is just bring a little bit more back thickness. They did say bigger shoulders, and I had a lot of comments of people who see me in person lately being absolutely shocked by the shoulders. So that's something that we've and their biceps as well. So yeah, man, I think it's just like minimal changes. But again, pretty much most of those guys I was watching the live stream as an amateur when they were still, you know, in first call out of the Olympia. So I think that is something that I have to take into consideration as well. Like I'm already here, like stood next to them, and like, you know, 2-3 years ago, I was just watching a live stream.
That's going to be the title of the episode. Niall calls the top three old. Terrence, you heard it here. No, but yeah, no, you're completely right. Now, my next question to that is Josema was fourth, right?
Mm-hmm.
So obviously he's not one of those guys that was competing back then. He's a young up and comer as well.
He's actually younger than me.
Yeah. So what, when you look at him and like look up the word condition Josema's next to it. Like his picture is right next to it. So where do you think you beat him, and where do you think you're losing to him right now?
Well, the first thing I'll say about him is I see him as absolutely completely dangerous competitor. Like he's extremely consistent. And to be honest, when I was talking about like rate of improvement, I wasn't necessarily including him because I've seen him from the Olympia, the two shows. I think he did New York and Pittsburgh last year, and then what he managed to bring from Pittsburgh to the Olympia was just insane. Yeah, so with him, obviously conditioning, like you said, is where I think that's one of the factors that he's beating me right now. And then obviously the back double, right? Like I don't think anyone is beating him at that pose. So I did have this conversation in the gym a little bit ago. I said I think if I can keep, because obviously as I add more size to my frame, the condition that we're going to have to get into, you know, to compete is gonna only get more stellar. And I think as well, my conditioning doesn't necessarily show up as well on camera because of my skin tone, but it's something where like the judges, every show I do, the judges always have something to say about my conditioning. And obviously you'll know at pro level, if something isn't like, if they say that they like it, it's because it's that good. You know, they won't just sort of glaze unnecessarily, but
right.
Yeah. So
right. Like I hate the conversation of people's like, oh, they only gave it to him because of the followers. It's like, you really think that judge gives a flying fuck that Niall has X many followers? Like, what are you talking about?
Honestly, man, there's some guys out there that are in like the third and fourth call out that have 1 million followers. So like, it's not. Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, when I was 11th place, I think I had like, I want to say like 40K followers, 50K followers. You know, and obviously everyone else is like, I think Matt Gregor was ahead of me, and he was like, I don't know how many followers he had done, like probably like 250, 300K.
Yeah.
You know, and obviously, and I beat Logan as well that year, 2024. And obviously Logan's got, I think, like 1 million followers as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, the numbers, they don't care.
It is goofy when people say that. Now, the other thing that, looking at Josema, like he's hard not to look at just because of that condition. But to me, I think out of that, I just personally am not the biggest fan of his structure. You know, like to be honest, I think he ends up in that first call out because of that wow factor condition and that back shot. I think he's got some really like standout shit like that. But I think as far as that like X factor classic physique look, I think the rest of the top four fit that a little bit better. You know what I mean? Like I'm sure people will disagree with me, but I think personally where you end up really outshining him is the thing that you said with everybody else. It's like your tiny waist, your X frame, like that kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, if you guys bring an even more conditioned look this next year without having lost any pop or anything like that, I think it's just stepping stones, and you're going right on up.
Yeah, I feel the same.
So what are your plans for the season? Like, what are you going to do for shows?
So I'm going to be announcing the shows in like a week or two.
Okay, cool.
But we're doing 2 shows this year. 2 shows before the Olympia. I think we'll look at actually this year, like I said, 2025. I did just do the Olympia and then shut it down. But I think we'll probably get back on stage at least one more time after the Olympia for this year. So yeah, hopefully it'll be the most shows I've ever done in a year. But yeah, they'll be I'll be on stage like sort of mid 2026.
Okay.
I've obviously got a guest pose in as well at Detroit, so I think I'll be like 12 weeks out. I think I will have just started prep somewhere around there.
Okay. So that can, yeah. I mean, I think people can put together a timeline.
And like it's the same. I had the same conversation with Suki. Like, I can't. Where am I in my career now? Like, I can't pick small shows. Like,
yeah.
Especially with the qualifying changes, there's only a handful of shows that I can really pick right now if I want to, make a statement and keep up the momentum for the Olympia.
Well, at some point you got to come out to my neck of the woods and do the Texas Pro. And
yeah, man, I really wanted to do that last year. It's been on my list for a long time. So 100%.
It's a good show. That's actually I did the amateur that was attached to that in 2023, and that was my last show. And the people who put on that show do such a great job. They just handle everybody really well.
We went to watch it like straight after Tampa, so I was there for 2025 to see it.
I wasn't there. My best friend got married that weekend, so I was gone.
I did see Blake there actually.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, hopefully we'll see him there at some point on that pro stage, man. I mean, we're still keeping some cards close to the chest right now, but I'm very excited for what we've got coming this season because he's fucking morphed.
Yeah, he looks absolutely insane, man.
He's put on the density, like the thing. First season he did nationals naturally and got 5th.
Yeah.
But when we looked at the lineup from 2024 and 2025, he dropped to 6th in 2023 and 2024. He dropped to 6th in 2024. But what we were looking at is the guys in his lineup were a little bit taller than him and a little bit thicker than him in the second go round. And that's like where we dropped. So it was like, look, you have the structure, you got the condition, you just need the density because he hadn't had like a good off season, and now he's had a long off season. It's like, all right, we might have a little too much density now.
It's crazy, man, crazy. I'm a huge fan of his physique, especially like I always say, like, it's crazy that he's still an amateur. Like when I see his stuff on social media, I'm like, it's wild that isn't a pro physique.
I know, and like I have people message me about it. And it's like, why isn't he pro yet? I'm like, what the fuck are you like?
It's
it's not like it's my choice. If I can give him a pro card, I'd fucking given it to him already. Like he's doing exactly what he needs to do, and I think for anyone who is in that range where it's like people can see that it is there, right? They can see that you're inevitably going to be there. They want to see that happen for you, but it's like, look, that's the timeline is the timeline. You know, like,
and if he takes that time, he might get rewarded in a way even more so than you initially prepare for. Like I remember taking all 2021 off, and then got my pro card. Like I said, I did 2020, took all 2021 off, got my pro card in 2022, and then took all 2023 off, and I did struggle quite a bit then, especially because of how 2022 ended with like a last place. But like, I just put all my faith in Carl. I knew that I'd made the right decision just from seeing how he handled his athletes at that Arnold. And then, like I said, he did say to me, like, the next time we get on stage, like, the goal is going to be to qualify for the Olympia. And obviously we did that and then went straight to the Olympia, and it was 11th place. So it's like, you take that time and just focus on yourself. You don't you might get rewarded with more than just a pro card. You know what I mean?
100%. And it's tough these days for somebody who is in his position where it's like, people are in his ear, people are sending him DMs and that people are telling him like, oh, you should have done this, you should have done that. and it can very easy be like, well, maybe I should compete earlier.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
like, kudos to him for being the one who was like, no, I'm taking the season off. Because like me being the coach is like, bro, we're almost there. We just need to do this, and then we go back, and he's like, no, I'm taking this season off. And I'm like, all right, let's do this. And it eventually got to a point where I was like, hey man, we can't wait till nationals. Like, unless you want to be bored, like, because you're just going to be in a maintenance phase until it's time to go into prep, because you can't get any bigger, big fella. Like, that weight cap is a bitch, man. But yeah, it's definitely very interesting. And like, going back to something you said earlier in the podcast, when I asked you about kind of like what it feels like to be in the top 5 at the Olympia, it's like you feel the same. And I think that's something that people really, really need to let soak in, because I think a lot of people invest so much of their happiness and fulfillment within the sport to be their placings and their improvement and that kind of stuff. When the thing is like, the Saturday comes around, you do the show, and it's Sunday. And guess what? Whether you won, whether you lost, whether it was the worst, whether it was the best, the next day you do the same thing. You eat the food, you train, you do the cardio, you take your supplements. Nothing changes. It just scales up,
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, the one thing I always say to myself is like, prep's going to be over before you know it. And it always is every single time. Even when you're like, 7 weeks out, 5 weeks out, it's like a rest day. You just kind of like deteriorating on your sofa, and you're like, God, this feels like it's going on forever. And then you blink and the show's done, right? And
Yeah.
I always tell myself, like, I imagine that my career will probably be the same way. Like, there'll be one point where I'm like, holy shit, I'm like 60 years old already. Like, this is all already behind me. So I don't take any of it for granted. It's funny, like, just some of the things that the lengths I used to go to, just to be a more successful bodybuilder. Like, when I was a lot younger, and I was walking like 3 miles to the gym and 3 miles back. I remember when I was a personal trainer, I'd like wake up, get like, I think 2 buses or 3 buses to work, do like 2 hours of cardio, then start my day, then, train after like a full shift of PT, then take like 3 buses back home, then do all my social media and my online coaching, prep all my meals, go to sleep. Like, now I'm blessed enough where I don't have to worry about any of that stuff. I'm in one of the best gyms in the UK. The gym is very, very supportive. Like, so I don't take any of it for granted, and I think that like, I know what got me there was just the work. So like, at the heart of it all, the core of it all is just the work. And I think sometimes you kind of see when people put too much stock in just their name or sponsors, you kind of see them fall back a little bit in terms of places, and usually they'll end up getting really angry about it as well.
Yep.
And it's like, if you probably step back and did a bit of a reflection, you could probably see where it started going wrong.
It's such an interesting thing to watch people as a coach, right? Because like, I get a number of different inquiries fairly regularly, and like, they vary in levels of goals, right? From the mom who just wants to get in shape to the guy who's trying to turn pro and whatever. You can tell when somebody talks and when somebody works.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there's some people who wake up and they've got an ingrown toenail and they're like, I can't go to the gym today. Right. But you sit here and tell me that you, like, in order to get to the gym, you walked 3 miles.
Yeah.
Tell any of these kids right now who think they want to be a pro, hey, you got to walk 3 miles to the gym in order to do what it is that you said you want to do. I guarantee 80% of them are like, I think I'm going to sit at home. You know what I mean?
And like, actually, the way back was probably longer, because I would hit the shop and then carry my groceries for like another 20 minutes. So it's like, you've done legs, you're like stumbling home doing leg, like after you've done legs. Then it's like, oh, I need like 3 kilos of chicken, I need beef, I need a bunch of eggs. It's like raining as well, because we're in England, like it's pissing it down with rain. And then, like, I finally get home. And then it's like, right, as soon as I get home, I've got to have a shower, start prepping all these meals, and then get on with my online coaching. I gotta go to bed at 9 p.m. because I'm gonna be, leaving the house at 5. Like, and I did that for a really long time. It's I think it's funny as well. Like, one thing that I definitely did was I just made myself love every aspect of bodybuilding, rather than like, when people ask me like, oh, what's your favorite body part to train? I'm like, look, man, I just love bodybuilding. Like, I've come to a point where I do remember when I was a bit younger, not liking training certain body parts or not liking doing cardio or whatever. And I love it all because it's all for a bigger purpose. But I often find as well when I coach, I'll get people who, they'll put in their inquiry form, oh, I want to be a pro, I want to do this. And then I'll set them up, and a week later be like, hey bro, can I change the split? I don't like this, this, and this. And funnily enough, what they want to change about the split is the stuff that they need. Like
Always.
they'll have like no back at all, and be like, hey man, I don't really like this variation of rows. And I'm like, well, yeah, because it's probably really hard because your back is trash. And yeah, like you've got to let go of that kind of
Yep.
that like fragility in terms of your like mental composure. Like, oh, I don't like doing cardio, or I don't like eating this food. Like I'm sorry, man, but at one point or another, you'll probably be, if you're a pro bodybuilder, you'll probably be eating some food that isn't your favorite food ever. Like, it's just the way it's gonna go.
Yeah. Yeah, that is funny, man. And to bring 2 points together here is like you were talking about, like at some point this stuff is done, and then also talking about falling in love with every aspect of bodybuilding is like, speaking from personal experience, 2023, I had no idea that was gonna be the last time I competed, right? And there's that I've had that thought many times where it's like, fuck, man, I can't believe that's not like, I don't do that anymore. And I still love it, and there's still aspects of me that's like, oh, I want to do it again and whatever.
Yeah.
So it's like I truly do wish that I could go back and like soak those experiences up more, and because like when we were talking about like the difference between being in the posing room versus being on stage, is like I kind of barely remember being on stage, right? Because it's like you're in a blur, and you like all of a sudden you have your award, and you're like, okay, well I guess I'm done, right? And like there's a lot of things that I don't remember about it. So all that's a completely different talk. But now, like, I don't compete anymore. I still do all the same exact things. Like I just don't do it to the scale that I did before when I was trying to be the best bodybuilder that I could be. And it's like, because I enjoy it. Like I think I'd go fucking crazy if I didn't do this shit. Like,
yeah, man. I think you see people sometimes like almost despise bodybuilding by the time they're done with it, simply because they put too much,
yeah,
like too much focus on that number. And it's like, man, like,
yep,
you have some like awesome workouts with your friends, I mean, even just like the numbers that you're lifting like 10 years down the line was stuff that like, those are the kind of things that I try and think about as well. I'm like, damn, if like 17-year-old me could just walk into the gym and see me now at like the size I'm at, like forget all the pro career, like the sponsors, like if you could just walk in and see what kind of physique I've achieved, or maybe at a certain point I was always like really weak on certain exercises, and I used to be like, damn, I hope one day I can like press 4 plates and I could just walk in and see me like that is like that's kind of like the message of bodybuilding overall, just like self-improvement. And then obviously, like I said, everything else that comes along with it has just been self-improvement through my career, through my personal life as well. And I think that like the numbers, again, I'm blessed to have had like a very successful career so far, but regardless of whether or not I had had that success, I would still have a completely improved physique. I still could have taken those lessons and applied them to my life, and it could still add like I always think bodybuilding should add to your life.
yeah, I agree. And I strongly encourage people to take up a lifestyle of a bodybuilder. It's just
A medal isn't going to do that either. Like you can have
exactly.
all the medals, and then cool, like you can walk around with it outside if you want. No one's going to care.
Right. Yeah, yeah. Like, and the bodybuilding lifestyle itself is an incredibly healthy thing.
Yeah.
It's when we attach competition to it that it becomes not healthy anymore. Because the thing is like at the bare bones of it, bodybuilding is making living competitive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like because you now have to live as a competitive bodybuilder. Meaning
that's why I wanted to love every aspect, because I was like,
Exactly.
I don't want to do years of this and hate it.
Exactly.
Like I can't imagine, doing like my past 5 years of my career and despising it. Like I would be like, I've been going to the gym for 5 years and I fucking hate it.
Yeah.
Like I've been cooking this food and I'm miserable. Like the only time when I sort of enjoy my life is when I get like a cheap meal, or when I'm not in the gym, right? Like that's no way to live, man.
That sounds like
It's like
all
it's like you're a prisoner to your habits, basically.
But that goes back to full circle to what we talked about at the beginning of this, of like taking some time down.
Yeah.
Like in order for you, Niall, to be the best athlete you possibly can be, you do need some time for me to go, fuck bodybuilding right now.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying do that for fucking years. I'm saying do that for a month and go, I'm not even going to think about it. It's just going to be over here in this corner. And like we all have to do that all the time with things that we love. You know, like there's times where I don't want to talk to one of my good friends because I just need a break from you for a bit. You know what I mean? And like it's just the reality of being a human. Sometimes you just need to step back to recharge so that you can go back to it full force, you know?
Yeah. It's funny, like even the other bodybuilders that I'm friends with, like at the same level, like top level pros, we never talk about bodybuilding. Like we'll just talk about what's going on in our life or like mutual interests that have nothing to do with bodybuilding. And I feel like I treasure those friendships even more because it's like, you know, we're basically, we've become friends because of our jobs, like because of work, but we don't talk about work at all. And that makes it so much better because 99% of the people that I'm going to meet will want to talk to me about my work.
How much do you curl? Yeah, 100%. And I think that's it's always funny, like when I'm around, like I've been around Hunter a million times when he's like at these events and whatnot. And the thing that he always says is like, if you really want to like talk to me for a long time, come talk to me about my dog. Like, don't come up to me and ask me about my chest day. And don't ask me about this. And it's like as we sit here and talk about bodybuilding for an hour straight, right? But the thing is like, I think people do often forget that we are humans too. Like that you as an athlete are a human, and like you're more than just weights and food and muscle, you know. And it's just tough, you know, when people only have one opportunity to talk to you, like maybe in their lifetime ever, and the reason that they want to talk to you is because of fitness. Of course, like it's hard not to talk about fitness, you know?
Oh yeah. I mean, I still find it crazy that like I have fans across the world, and anytime, whether it's in my gym, like it doesn't matter. Like if someone asks me for a picture or want a conversation, like I always make the time for it. It's just, I think I understand that like as being a top athlete in my sport, like it's a responsibility. And you know, I never really got to meet anyone when I was like an amateur or, you know, like just younger in general. By the time I was meeting guys that I looked up to, they were already my opponents, like on stage, you know. So there wasn't any time to be a fanboy. It was like I need to fucking beat this guy. Like so for me, like I'll always try and take that time because you never know. I mean, I've met fans who have like flown to the Olympia and they're like they barely speak English and they're also like really nervous. And it's like, you know, I might never see them again, but if they can just, you know, maybe have a good conversation with me, I can like fire them up to go back home, get in the gym, like then I feel like I've done my job, and I can sort of, you know, be like, right, I know they had a good interaction with me. However, if someone comes along and wants to start talking to me about like video games or whatever, I'd be like, hell yeah, like we'll do a 25-minute conversation.
Speaking of video games, have you gotten into Arc Raiders?
I have not. That's the only one I haven't touched, but I'm planning on it. The last
What are you playing?
last few weeks, man, I've been so busy. I haven't really played anything. That's what's depressing. Like the better I get, it's like damn, I have less time to sit back and chill out.
What's been your game of choice when you can play?
It was Marvel Rivals for quite a while, man.
Okay.
Very toxic though. Anyone that's watching this that knows about Marvel Rivals, they'll probably be like, why?
Bro, I tried
talking about why would I like torture myself with like certain aspects of bodybuilding I don't like, and then I sit here and like boot up Marvel Rivals any opportunity.
Yeah. But I tried to play Marvel Rivals with some homies for a while, and I wasn't good at it at all. I just could not figure it out.
And the thing about that game is every 2 weeks, everyone's got better. So if you don't play it for 2 weeks, you're just behind, man.
Dude, that's the thing about like multiplayer video games, that like I have a hard time playing them now because like I don't have enough time to invest into this to be good. You know what I mean? So like I've been playing one of the most like autistic things that you possibly can, and it's a Rome city builder. And like so you're literally just like scaling cities into these massive mega it's so much fun, and it is just
that's the thing, man. Like I love my main game has been like Diablo, so I'm just like running around like killing demons, just doing my own thing, like because as soon as a 13-year-old joins a lobby, it just beams me 50 times in a row, like I can't deal with it.
If you haven't seen it yet, we'll finish on video games because I feel like we've covered as much bodybuilding as we can. if you haven't seen it yet, Blood of the Dawnwalker is coming out sometime soon.
Yeah.
Have you seen that game?
I haven't. I'll have to check it out after this.
Yeah, definitely go check out the videos. It's an RPG, and the gist of it is like your character, this vampire lord comes in and like takes over this area. He kidnaps your sister, and you have a timeline to get your sister back.
Okay,
but
that sounds good.
you got bit by a vampire, so you're like half vampire, half human, and you can navigate the game in two different ways, where it's like daytime and nighttime. So vampire or human. And there is a literal timeline on like you have to save your sister within this time within the game.
That's fucking awesome. I love stuff like that.
Yeah. It's a really cool twist on an RPG game, because usually it's like, okay, let me just do everything and then I'll eventually get to the final quest. It's like you have to be very precise on choices that you make of like, I need to do this quest to get this so I can kill this guy, or else I'm going to end up not being able to get, you know what I mean? Like, it sounds really fucking cool.
Yeah, man. I'll definitely check that out. I love games like that.
And then The Witcher. Like, I love The Witcher 4 is supposed to come out sometime this year, I think. And so I'm excited for that shit too.
But. Yeah, I actually, when I saw those trailers, I was like, yeah, maybe I'll re-download The Witcher 3. It's been quite a while. So,
dude, that game had me by the balls for fucking. I played that game so fucking, and I found it way late. I found it because I tried to play The Witcher on PC years ago, and I didn't have a game. It was on like a regular basic computer, and it couldn't handle the graphics and stuff. And I was like, "Oh, this sucks." So I threw it to the side. But then I was looking for a game, and I found The Witcher 3, and I was like, "I'll give this a shot." And I was fucking hooked, dude.
It's a different kind of game, man.
Yeah, it is, man. I love when games are so thought out where it's like you don't get bored because it's not the same. It's not the same quest over and over. You know what I mean? It's got variety to it.
I don't know if you ever played Dishonored, but like that had the same kind of thing where it's like,
no, I didn't.
It was like a massive open world, and you could play it as you wanted, but the world would like respond to how you chose to play. So if you choose a mission where you kill everyone, then the next mission there'll be like police everywhere. Like the city will be more run down. You know, if you can go through the entire game without actually killing anyone, and like that's like really, really hard to do. You also have like a bunch of like abilities, like magic powers and stuff, but you don't have to use any of them. But you can like so you can like teleport your way up into a building, like kidnap some guy, or you can just like go in like guns blazing like through the front door. It's crazy, but that was like one of my favorite games.
That's cool.
It has like whole like side quests that if you just don't talk to someone, you might miss like 15% of the entire game. Because they'll start side quests, and that'll start another side quest, and another plot line. It's crazy.
Interesting. I love shit like that. Well, that's awesome, dude. Anything you want to plug before we sign off here, bro?
Well, sponsored Clothes-Wise, Dark Spot, and then supplements, HD Muscle, and Elevate. Just code One Punch for all three of those, man. And thanks for having me on, man. Really, really enjoyed the conversation.
Dude, thanks for your time, man. I appreciate you coming on here, man. It's been a pleasure to get to know you in the last year, dude. So I'm looking forward to seeing if you take the Olympia in 2026, bro.
We'll be trying our hardest, man.
Yes, sir. I'll be there for it. So for anybody who is still watching at this point, make sure you do the YouTube thing, like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and we'll catch you on the next one.